The Battleface podcast is broadcast live on Fridays and Sundays, and we encourage you to come hang out and chat with Bard and Dare live. Now, prepare to declare attacks. You are entering the Battle Phase. Hello everyone, you have entered the Battle Phase. It is I, the Midnight Bard, your favorite bard, and I'm a Gryffindor? Joining me as always is everyone's favorite co-host with the most ghosts, Dareinger.
There is shit everywhere.
That tends to happen when you live with birds. Birds have a tendency to, just kind of go wherever they please. They have no self-control. They have no self-respect.
There's just so much stuff everywhere.
Yeah, so, welcome to the Battle Phase podcast, the weekly podcast where Dare and I discuss everything that crossed our collective spheres of interest and the stuff that we kind of liked about it. So, welcome. A quick reminder before we get started. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share. We are trying to grow our podcast as much as possible. That way we can get fantastic guests on this podcast, like King Kong. He's a gentle giant, he is.
Also, remember to keep your hands and feet inside the ride at all times until you're prompted to do otherwise.
Yeah, hands and feet. King Kong loves to snack on those. But what are you up to this week, Dare?
I've been listening to new music by apparently a mutual favorite artist of ours, Unlike Pluto.
Unlike Pluto.
They just released a new song today called Guts,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really good. I like it.
Unlike Pluto, but mostly like Venus. I haven't listened to it. I mean, what do you like about it?
I just like the style of music. I think it's considered new rock.
Yeah.
And it's not like NEW. It's like NUW.
NUW.
Without a W. It's just NU, I believe.
Oh, NU rock. Not like I gotcha. It's fun. I like it. I don't remember which song is the one that I like from theirs, but I know that there's one song on my playlists that's Unlike Pluto. And I remember that, it just happened to come across my playlist because it was one of those things, like how whenever you're on YouTube Music and it just kind of let me suggest some stuff. So I let it suggest stuff. And Unlike Pluto was one of the bands that came up, and it was good. So I added it to my favorites playlist. That way I could listen to it once in a while. My favorites.
Sing me a bar of it, and I can probably tell you what song it is.
It's a bar that I am singing. A bar that Bard is singing.
Yeah, that's definitely Novocaine.
Novocaine, it actually probably sounds right. I think that one sounds correct. I don't remember the lyrics.
They don't have a song called Novocaine.
What the hell is this song? I'm gonna have to look it up. Give me a second. 2 seconds. Real quick while Bard figures this crap out. Let's see. Unlike Pluto. Everything Black.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I actually just put that on my iPod.
Yeah. Okay. And now the mics are on. Hello everyone. Welcome back. OBS is being annoying. And so here's where we are. Anyway, Unlike Pluto, good music. What else are we watching this week? Reborn as a vending machine, I Now Wonder the Dungeon. I don't know what to tell you about this. It's an anime. It's an isekai. A dude is reborn as a vending machine, finds out that he has interesting vending machine powers, such as
as vending machines have.
Yeah, so he can create barriers around himself that allow him,
as they do,
barriers around himself that allow him to I don't know what you would call this, it, to protect himself, I guess, is the best way to put it. And additionally, it's I don't know. He has powers such as he can change his inventory. It, he can communicate with people in his party. It's weird, dude. Like honestly, like part of me was expecting a lot because I'm like, with a premise this ridiculous, you pretty much are forced to just give me the absolute best that you can if you hope for me to stick around. One episode, well, actually 2 episodes in, and I'm like, I'm not feeling it. This is too out there for me, and this is coming from a person who actively enjoys really out there comedy. So I don't know. You know, at the very least, it's very pretty to look at. It's obviously very high def. So I mean, like that's what we got going on.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
It's good that it's nice to look at least.
at least. Yeah, like everything else is just kind of like you know, I don't know. I just can't. Am I gonna watch the third episode? Maybe, maybe not. Like I don't know how I feel about it. It feels weird. Um. Anyway, moving on to the next thing that we have. Our first story today is we have two World Championship Series 2023 bundles available on Master Duel. The bundles come with 5 master packs and accessories themed either around Legendary Dragon of White or Legendary Magician of Dark. It's you know, so like you'll get like your icon, so like your profile picture, card sleeves, monster art for your home screen, and also for like your duelist ID. You know, it's a pretty neat thing. You know, like just exclusive accessories to commemorate the fact that the World Championship Series is starting. I think this weekend. I think you got like 48 hours worth of it.
Yeah, uh, I wish that they would make like those actual playable cards,
Hmm.
but I mean, they they could be played in uh, Master Duel because it's best of ones, but yeah,
Yeah.
they
I mean, I honestly like I'm a little spent on like the whole best of one, best of three argument. I understand why people want the best of three, but part of me is just kind of like, you know, like, can you just enjoy playing a different format, you know?
no.
Yeah, and that's basically the resounding, you know, like answer that we get is like, no, I can't. How am I supposed to win without a side deck? And I was like, plenty of people seem to have an easy enough time. You know, it's
How do I win against the bug?
yeah, how do I win against the bug? And I was like, you know, like honestly, it kind of comes back to one of those things. It's like, you know, at some point you kind of have to expect that you're gonna run into it, right? Like whatever, you know, like so like. But you also prepare for those eventualities that no matter which deck you're playing, you know, like you have to kind of keep in mind, like, hey, yeah, my deck loses hard to this. So what happens if this happens? You know, like you're not always gonna win. Sometimes a card just outs you, you know? So like I find it a little weird that we're just like really really hung up on like why don't we have best of threes, and I'm just like because like honestly like Master Duel is its own thing, and I personally don't feel like it's necessary. Like you can do just as good, you know, with a best of one. I feel, and like as a matter of fact, a lot of tournaments in OCG follow a best of one format, and you know people seem to do fine with that. Me personally, I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. I don't know.
I don't know. I play EDH, so
Yeah, yeah. Well, I do
I,
not.
I played Yu-Gi-Oh like once or twice last week,
Yeah.
and I got my Ultra Guy stuff, so I may play it this week. But
Hmm. Yeah. I enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh. And it's just like I feel like I don't know. It's one of those things where it kind of makes you feel like you know you're just well you're dealing with like a meta elitist where you know people are like I can't be satisfied unless my win rate is like 90% or higher. So I need my side deck. That way, if I run into something that my deck just struggles against, I can side against it. And I'm just like, you know, like at this point, you're just being kind of like really, really petulant. I'm like, they haven't changed it. I don't know that they will. It feels to me like at this point, if they do, I mean, like if they do, it'd be a miracle. But if they never did, it wouldn't surprise me. Just straight up, you know, I don't know like what else to say about that. Um,
well,
so
this goes back to last week's discussion of um, people not being able to transition from the one game to the other.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they would change it, they would do something around that.
Right.
So it's like the transition.
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. With that, but this isn't the only thing coming out of Master Duel. They did also release two new secret packs. Secret packs, for those not in the know, are the packs that kind of come with a curated list of cards. You know, so like if you happen to like or like pull a card that's either an ultra or a super rare out of like a master pack or what have you, then it'll unlock that card's secret pack, which contains cards relevant to its archetype, its strategy, or its theme. And the secret packs that they have added are Guardians of the Sacred Summit, which will include Sword Soul and Yang Zeng monsters. And they also included one called The Ultimate Traditional Art, which includes punk cards as well as a weird one, Karakuri, uh, which, all right, so around theming, Karakuri and punk are very based on like Japanese art styles, right? Karakuri being like this mechanical dolls, and let's see, punk being kind of like different types of performing arts, such as like no and kabuki and such. So I see theme wise why they would be together. Um, it feels weird to me that like they put like Karakuri and Punk together because like Karakuri is one of those decks that like was good like a long time ago, and Punk is kind of like a recent thing, and they both revolve around synchro summoning. So I wonder if it's kind of like either we put them together because theming is similar, or we put them together because these cards should work together. And I'm like, huh. Is Punk Karakuri something anyone played ever? I don't know.
I know one of the Karakuri synchros was like in the meta for a while,
Mm-hmm.
but uh, I don't remember which one. It's like the big one with the super long name that people used.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think the Karakuris actually ever got played, other than in like the solo gate thing on Master Duel.
Yeah, right? Like
Um, I
they
know Punk's starting to have like a bit of a resurgence, so
yeah, well, I
that's
mean,
something.
kind of easy whenever they reprinted all of like the really expensive cards again in Battles of Legend, Monstrous Revenge, right? Suddenly you don't have to pay
Yeah,
fork over like $40 for one Foxy tune. Uh, so one thing I wanted to say is that, and come to think about it, I did have a Karakuri deck in Duel Links, and in Duel Links, a lot of archetypes that don't see play competitively see play in alternative formats such as Duel Links. So I mean, like I kind of go back to like the whole like, hey, best of three, why not best of three? And I was like, because it's an alternative format. Everybody's kind of like mad that we don't have alternative formats, but then when we get one, everyone's all like, well, why doesn't it play like the original format? And it's just like, oh my god. But like things like, for example, uh, Super Heavy Samurai before their new support was fun in Duel Links. Like, what's it called?
it
War
was really
Rocks.
fun after they got their support, and then they had like a week.
Yeah, and then they had a week before it went down the toilet with a ban list, right? I hear.
Well, wait a second. Wait, I
Yes.
got it. But
What?
okay, that I've been fucking with my mic this whole time.
What's it called? I know that War Rocks are doing surprisingly well in Duel Links, or did surprisingly well for a while. What's it called? And Karakuri did well back in the day. Harpies were meta for a long time in like 2020, like late 2019, early 2020. So I mean, like decks that you wouldn't expect to hear about doing well were doing exceedingly well in Duel Links. So it's like
Yeah.
it kind of comes back to what we said last week too about like, hey, well, how do we retain people? I'm like, well, give them a format where they can play their favorite deck, like, and you don't have to cater to everyone, but like different formats so that people can play decks that they like. It's a good idea. You should do it.
Well, like partial reasons as to why those decks did well in Duel Links is because Duel Links has like a much smaller card pool, or it did for the longest time.
It did.
I know they recently added all of the uh, summoning mechanics now, I believe.
They have.
Or do they still not have links?
They do.
But yeah, for the longest time, like when harpies were meta, I don't think they had like pendulums and XCs and stuff like that. I think it was up to maybe synchros because I think they had the harpies cyber slash.
They were well in Duel Links. Whenever like harpies were doing well, I think they already had Xyz because I remember playing like the Zexal world.
Oh yeah, they did have they do have an XCs monsters for harpies, so that
Yeah,
makes sense, I guess.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like you have to take into consideration that yeah, it's an alternate format
mm,
where you don't have like as many zones. There's less life points. Um, there's just all these different factors that allow these decks to actually be like useful and uh, thrive in uh, the meta of that game.
yeah. Agreed. I
Yeah,
feel like that's 100% something important. So, Konami like is apparently in the works to try to like figure out different things that they can do for the sake of bettering their what do you call it to better their player retention. And honestly, like alternative formats, it's the easiest thing that they can do. And because it boosts the capacity for different decks to shine, and we want different decks to shine. People want to play like their Goki. You can't play Goki in the modern meta; they don't do well. People want to play like their Harpies. You can't play Harpies in the modern meta; they don't do well. Or I mean, you could play these things, but you gotta go into it resigned to know that you're gonna lose a lot. So it's kind of one of those things. And me personally, I feel definitely alternative formats is the way to go. But like, and you're gonna have people groan and gripe. It's like, oh well, this format doesn't let me play. Well, sure, but like we're trying to include more people is the thing. To give everybody a chance to have fun. So yeah,
yeah, and that's the unfortunate thing is that like goat format's never going to include more cards than what it already includes
right,
because like there's the debate on whether like Exterion is part of it, I believe, but
yeah.
like that's the only card that may or may not be added or subtracted from Go format.
Right, and that's
It,
kind of the other thing about like like what happens is like a format resolves. Like we have solved goat format. Everybody knows the best 30-35 cards to play in a goat deck, and then you have like five or so cards that you can just kind of like custom make, right? But for the most part, every deck is going to look the same.
yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna have like your 10 cards that make it whatever deck you claim it to be, and then you're gonna have your Sinister Serpent, your Pot of Greed, your Graceful Charity,
hmm.
just like the 30 goat staples that make the deck just work.
Yeah, yeah, and that is how it works. Like so. Me personally, I feel that the way to do it is curated events, like they do on Master Duel, but IRL. Let's see, what's it called? Let's see a Fiend Fairy event like we did, like we see in Master Duel, right? Let's see an all water or an all water all wind, or like heck even together. Let's see the water wind event. Bring either your favorite like water deck or your favorite wind deck or a weird amalgam of both.
The Earth, Wind, and Fire format.
Yeah, like Saturday Night Fever. Wait, what's the song that they sing? Celebrate good times. Come on.
Do you remember
Yes, September. We can call it
September?
September format. But continuing on, more Yu-Gi-Oh things going on here. Remember last week when we talked about Konami's stockholder meeting and how they expressed, like we want to retain many players as possible, maybe even get some new ones.
Yeah.
One of the biggest complaints in the OCG was that in OCG sanctioned events, you couldn't surrender. So, like, if you drew no interaction, you'd have to sit there and just watch your opponent stunt. until they decided to beat you, you know? Um,
Yeah, and that's a huge problem, I would think, because there are some decks that can like combo for
ever.
a majority of the time,
God, have you
and then you
gone up
just
against
can't play.
speedroids?
Yeah, I've went against like speedroids, like a pure access code talker build, just combos forever.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Code
Uh,
talkers, ugh. And
there's like two or three others that just keep
Adamancipator.
going. Yeah, Adamancipator. Playing that against Shave Shooter is just miserable,
Yeah,
having to sit and
we
watch
we've had a
for
couple of
30 minutes.
we've had a couple of tournaments where like Save Shooter, that's what he's done. He's like Adamancipated all over us.
Yeah, it's you have
And Gamma
Gamma who
too.
plays
Yeah,
Adamancipator
Gamma
versus
also
Save
plays
Shooter who
Adamancy.
plays Adamancipator, and then you're just sitting there like, okay, wake me up in like 50 minutes
And,
when their turn's over.
and it's not just the combo, but like imagine being unable to surrender against Mystic Mine. You just have to deal with it until this
You just have to draw the
slow
out.
game eventually it comes to a close. And or imagine like not being able to surrender to Eldritch, who will floodgate you to death and then will take a sweet time beating you up, right? It
Just draw
feels
the out.
it feels wrong is what I'm trying to get at. It feels so wrong. So I don't know, man. Like I feel like it's it feels wrong to say like, hey, let us surrender, but it's for people's mental health. I feel like it's necessary. Hey, don't make me sit here and just be humiliated while my opponent's combo on me for like 30 minutes. Don't let me have to sit here and keep trying to get over the Mystic Mine knowing that I have no outs to it. Like, let me go to game two. And in these type of tournaments, by all means, let me go to game two so I can side and that way I can do something.
Well, I think Robbie Cole made a good point in that uh, sometimes you don't want to give your opponent any information either.
Yeah.
So if you can't like surrender,
Hmm.
then you're going to be playing and showing your opponent what you're playing, and then
Exactly.
they know what you're playing.
Hmm.
Where, like, if you're playing Mystic Mine, you can scoop, and then your opponent doesn't know what cards you are, what deck you're running.
Exactly. They don't know what to side against you going into game two. So
Yeah,
it's a manner of tactical play there also where you have to where you can decide to like, hey, you know what? I know my opponent's got me beat. I have no interaction. I surrender. That way, now that I know what they're playing going into game two, I can kind of side for it, but they don't know what I'm playing yet. So now they can't prepare for what I have coming in. And then, like it could make for like a triumphant game two and going into a game three where now both players kind of like have an equal measure of what's going on.
yeah. Another thing with this update, um, they pretty much sealed the fate of all of the Victory Dragon esque cards, that they will never be allowed in the duels
Yeah,
because I believe it states in there that you can't surrender if a win condition is going to be met,
right.
which means that a win condition that wins you a match instead of just the game will never be allowed, because you wouldn't be able to surrender to Victory Dragon, because they could just be like, I was going to attack for game with Victory Dragon, and they uh, they said they were surrendered, so just a match loss now.
Yeah, match loss now. So yeah, it sucks, but it is what it is. So like I feel like this is good. I feel like because this was apparently a complaint that players had in the OCG. It's like, hey man, like I can't surrender if because like that basically means I forfeit the entire duel. So giving them this option is like, yeah, you're allowed to surrender and continue on to to game two and game three, as needed. Um, Good idea. Like, hey, definitely give us that tactical advantage. So yeah, but that's all the news that we have in Yugi Mans this week. Coming up, we have something kind of exciting. We have Tanami Adult Swim drops the trailer for the Lazarus animated series, which, if you don't know what this is like it's been highly anticipated by fans of like anime like Samurai Champloo, Cowboy Bebop, etc., because it's directed by Shinichiro Watanabe, who directed that. So
Gesundheit.
yeah, so it's kind of like it's got all of the style, all of the attitude of like Cowboy Bebop and what do you call it, Samurai Champloo and all that, and it's also produced by Studio Mappa, which is probably one of my favorite studios. Stuff that comes out of Studio Mappa usually looks really, really good.
You do
So
talk about them an awful lot.
I do.
So I mean, I would believe that's probably your favorite.
Yeah. So here's a kind of a fun thing. I actually wrote down the Wikipedia description of the plot, and I think the plot is actually kind of interesting. You might get a kick out of this. Let's see. So the year is 2052. An era of unprecedented peace and prosperity prevails across the globe. The reason for this: mankind has been freed from sickness and pain. Nobel Prize winning neuroscientist Dr. Skinner has developed a miracle cure all drug with no apparent drawbacks called Hapuna. 3 years later, the world has moved on, but Dr. Skinner has returned, and this time as a harbinger of doom. Skinner announces that Hapuna has a short half-life. Everyone who has taken it will die approximately 3 years later. Death is coming for this sinful world, and it's coming soon. As a response to this threat, a special task force of 5 agents is gathered from across the world to save humanity from Skinner's plan. This group is called Lazarus. Can they find Skinner and develop a vaccine before time runs out? So imagine that, like, hey, I created this cure-all drug that has no drawbacks. And then so you
except for death.
So you take it, and then like oh man, this is fantastic. I got no pain. I feel great. And then 3 years later, it's like, hey, that drug that we said it has no drawbacks. The drawback is death. Y'all gonna die.
That's why you're supposed to have extensive testing that goes for 7 years. This is why the FDA exists.
This is why the FDA exists, right? So yeah, like it's kind of like one of those weird things where it's like, oh well, shit, and now it's kind of like, well, now you just deal with it. I guess
Gamma's right. He says, so is COVID anime.
So it's COVID the anime, yes, absolutely. So this is really, really fun, and me personally, I'm excited for it. Like I wasn't a fan of Cowboy Bebop. Personally, I think the characters are cool, and I think the it's definitely got style. I mean, that is an anime dripping with sex appeal, right?
Yeah.
The plot just wasn't for me, Samurai Champloo I liked. So seeing Shinichiro Watanabe at the helm of something like this, I'm excited because I think that as a director, as far as direction goes, he's great. So like I'm excited, and Cowboy Bebop is just like one of those classic anime that everyone loves except for me. And it's not that I don't like it either. I feel like I have to defend that because I know that people will be like, "Oh, Bard hates Cowboy Bebop." I don't. I thought it was great.
Sounds to me like you hate Cowboy Bebop.
I just didn't understand, like, because people like put it up on a pedestal, like greatest thing ever, and I'm just like, it's good, but I always take like offense at her people like greatest thing ever because I'm like, come on, it's okay, it's fine, and additionally, I feel like, it was kind of like a conflict of interest for me because I really, really liked Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop kind of give off the same vibes.
I can see that, yeah.
Yeah, so it's weird, So like me personally liking Outlaw Star, Cowboy Bebop to me was just kind of like it's like Outlaw Star but different. So I like Outlaw Star, so yeah, Cowboy Bebop's okay.
It's all right.
It's all right. Yeah, like I mean it's all right. But yeah, Lazarus, it's gonna be airing. It's what's funny is that everywhere I see it, people say, "Oh, well, it's Toonami or it's Adult Swim," and as a matter of fact, even on their YouTube video, like right here, it's got both Toonami and Adult Swim written on it. So, it's gonna air on one of those two. So yeah, be on the lookout for Lazarus when it comes to Cartoon Network, or one version of Cartoon Network. I don't know what to say. This one, Brother Gamma in the chat will be excited over. Do the Evolution music video has its 25th anniversary, and in San Diego Comic Con, so like the cool thing about this is that Do the Evolution is a song by the legendary band Pearl Jam, and they had a
I
music video. Yes,
Yeah, that's the music video where there's like melting person, right?
yeah, that one. Yes, it's got a very unique visual style, and here's why it's unique. It it's a song by Pearl Jam. It's an animated music video, and it was directed by Todd McFarlane, the creator of Spawn. Like the comic book superhero Spawn,
Yeah,
and
I know about Spawn.
yeah, and also Kevin, co-directed by Kevin Altieri, who is famous for directing Batman the Animated Series. And now that you know both of those things, the visuals in the music video make a lot of sense. Because like it looks very much exactly like something that the creator of Spawn and the director for Batman the Animated Series would create together, right? uh
There's an awful lot of melty people in there, though.
there was a lot of melty people. There was dinosaurs eating each other. There was I don't know, like,
The beautiful woman.
yeah, like a dancing witch or something. I don't know, she kept turning into like something monstrous. I don't know. uh so yeah, like it's cool. If you ask me, like I thought it was a really well directed, really cool looking music video from back in the day, and it's got its 25th anniversary, which means that they dropped a remastered version of the video and they aired it at San Diego Comic Con. It's kind of a cool thing. But we have a lot of announcements from San Diego Comic Con to get through. I posted the Comic Con trending on Twitter thing on our Discord server because I was like, I'm gonna need to check back on this later because it's like it's one of those things that it's going on and I'm not there, so I can't be there to like see these things. And I know that like if I try to like look one day, I'm gonna get some announcements, and if I try to look back the next day, I'm gonna get more. So I was just like, you know what? Let's look a week later and see everything that was the best, right? Um, and speaking of the best, this is very meh. Marvel drops the trailer for Captain Marvel sequel, which is
I
the
thought you said
Marvels.
marbles.
Yeah, Marvels. It's called the
The
Marvels. It's called
the
it's called the
marbles
Marvels. The Marvels. Yes.
with a
Uh,
B.
with a V. Like V for
No,
victory.
with B for uh, Benedict.
Benedict. Yes. This is
Marbles.
the Captain Marvel sequel, The Marbles. It's a movie. It comes out in November. You see the team up of Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, and Miss Marvel. I think I saw Nick Fury in the trailer somewhere. I am very indifferent about this movie, but I did too much work on the slide to not talk about it. I thought the original the first the first Captain Marvel movie was okay. I was very nonplussed about it, which is sad because like for a while in like the early 2010s, the Miss Marvel comic book was really really good and I liked it. And then like so I was kind of hyped whenever there was a movie for Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, kind of like interchangeably the same person. Or at least back then, because back then she went by Miss Marvel, changed her name to Captain Marvel later on. Comics, what can I say? But the Miss Marvel comic books about Carol Danvers, who is played by Brie Larson, really, really good. And the movie was very okay. Like, I was like, yeah, this is.
I mean, it's all right.
Yeah, it's like like if I had to watch it like on an airplane or something, I wouldn't be mad, but at the same time, I'd be like, oh, you guys don't have the first Doctor Strange, you guys.
Kimma, don't worry. I'm waiting for the perfect moment to get back at him. Like
uh,
he's doing this, and he doesn't know
uh,
I'm plotting.
yeah. By the way, I can't see the chat. Like OBS is giving me a hard time today, so like I'm counting on Dare to chat with the people.
Yeah,
So
well, you're chatting and talking and stuff, and they're chatting and talking and stuff, and we're all
yeah,
just talking and chatting and stuff. They're
One
saying how
Piece
awesome
live.
I am, how horrible you are.
One Piece live action movie looks dope. Or it's not a movie, it's actually a series, but yeah, it looks dope, son. Like I said recently, I've been on a One Piece binge. I'm nearing episode 300 slowly but surely.
I think we talked about this last week, didn't we?
We talked about the teaser about 2 weeks ago. Since then,
Oh,
Netflix
okay.
has dropped more than a teaser. This is a full-on trailer. And when you mentioned last week, yes, you, me, and Wilo before we started our stream, before we started our fast food tier list, I showed it to you guys because it was like, hey, this is a full trailer now. It has like the entire crew, and you know, like it shows more fantastic locations and like key moments in the story, and like it even shows some of the characters using their skills. So I'm like, it's good. It's fun. Um, Speaking of like talking about it last week, what did you think about some of the CGI and some of like the costumes? Because we saw Arlong, we saw Gold Roger, we saw like like there was just like so many different characters in this. We saw the Baratier, which is the floating restaurant where Sanji was working before he joined the Straw Hats. You know?
It it's interesting. Um, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I feel like it looks really really good for what it is, which is a Netflix series. The CGI can look a little iffy at some points, like Buggy the Pirate, whenever he's split up, like he has the chop powers where he can separate his body parts and just float them around. That looked a little
Yeah,
awkward.
I remember him.
Yeah, so that
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 was a that was a thing that happened.
yeah, so like that one to me, I was like, okay, well that's a little much, but for
I
the
mean, when you have like a concept like what One Piece is, you're gonna have to rely on CGI heavily because like I don't think you can do practical effects with that and have like a good result.
well, going back to Arlong, he didn't look CGI'd to me. He looked like mostly practical effect, like
Well, yeah.
makeup and
Well,
stuff.
Arlong, he's not like detaching body parts and throwing. He's the swordfish guy.
Right.
You can make a practical effect suit, but
Yeah.
like when you're doing like the gum powers or like the chop fruit powers, is you have to like heavily rely on CGI for that kind of stuff. And unless there's some way to do practical effects with that, but I don't know.
Uh,
I'm
uh,
not a practical effect artist.
I'm sure there probably is, but I feel like CGI is just easier at that point. Like why complicate your life more? You know.
Yeah.
So
Why
I
would
mean,
you?
this is fun. I'm excited to see it. Like
I'm excited for you.
yeah. Thank you. I know for a fact that One Piece is not for everyone. It can be goofy as hell. It can look silly. It has some like really out there plots and some really weird character designs. But seeing it in live action's kind of fun. Like I'm like, yeah. Like is it the first thing that I would have chosen to adapt? Probably not. I probably would have chosen something a lot more simpler. And there is something to be said about like, hey, some things are better in animation because in animation you can get away with a lot of crap. In live action, there's a lot of things that are just gonna look really dumb, and you can't really not have them look dumb. So, eh, you know, take with a grain of salt. This could be really good. I feel like as long as you adapt the plot faithfully enough, a lot of people would forgive you if the effects aren't the best. But yeah.
Welcome into. I'm gonna call you Sam, because that's the last part of the first word of your name.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Al-Mutasam Alankuri, I think.
yeah, that's words that would not be able to manifest in my mouth
Yeah,
because
so
I have not the ability to speak like that.
right. Well, we apologize if we butchered your name, but hello, we're happy to have you here. We're talking different cool things that happen in the world of nerdom this week. Well, while we're on the subject of Eiichiro Oda, which, in case you don't know, that's the guy who wrote and illustrated One Piece. There is more news regarding him. While on the subject of Oda, um, his one-shot manga, which was the manga that he did before he did One Piece, called Monsters, is getting an anime adaptation.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And according to the article that I read, the manga released in 1994, and it's about a swordsman trying to defeat a dragon, and allegedly it's also canon in the One Piece universe. So it probably takes place like several hundred years before the events of the Pirate Age.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never read the manga. I'm gonna go. I was planning on going to look it up and see like if the art style is kind of the same, or if Oda is just like a really flexible artist who can just do all kinds of different styles. But I didn't get around to it. But yeah, that's kind of cool. Like this would be like saying, like, hey, what if we release? I don't know. I'm finding a really hard analog to make to a good analogy to put up to this. It's, like what if we
Gamma
release?
is asking, did he have a D on his name?
Uh, in
I don't know if that's a joke or if that's you misspelled it.
it's Eiichiro Oda, yeah. So like, he has a D in Oda.
I'm just saying that was the question that was posed. I don't know if
Yeah,
that was
maybe I misspelled
a
it somewhere,
D's
but
nuts joke.
yeah, maybe like he was trying to set me up.
Gamma is saying he's serious.
Well, I think I spelled it correctly.
You have offended Gamma.
Okay, well, I
Gamma
apologize.
is angry. He's
I
spamming the chat.
Is
A
he
lot
now?
of anger, a lot of cursing.
Very well then. Continuing on. This is something that you submitted. Mysterious Hololive production trailer. And the bullet points here
Yeah.
say, let Dare talk about this. I don't know nothing about it. It was a trailer he shared that I watched, but I don't know enough to say anything about it. There's VTubers in it? Question mark?
So uh, this actually goes hand in hand with a later post that I did.
Mm-hmm.
This was the sneak peek, like teaser trailer for HoloLive Generation 3 for English.
Yeah.
And it's the whole theme of them. I guess they're like some kind of prisoners, and they escaped.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice little trailer, and it ends with saying that their debut is actually tomorrow and Sunday, and they're also a post that happened later, so I'll talk more about it then.
So it's this one, like HoloLive English Advent, which a new 5-member HoloLive VTuber unit premieres on July 29th and
Oh, hey,
30th.
it's the post that we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
So there's 5 new HoloLive EN3 Gen members. I'm going to butcher their names, but there's Narissa Ravencroft. That's the easy one.
Yes.
Koseki?
Yeah,
Bijou?
Koseki Bijou, yeah.
Shiro Novella.
Shiori Novella, okay.
And then there's Fua and Moko. Which Fua and Moko is it's a they're like sisters or twins, I think.
I see.
And they're sharing the channel, which is it's an interesting concept. It's not a new concept because we've had on one of our shows back when we were on the Nevermore Collective, we actually for one of our guests, the VTubers, we had the Nova Swarm, which is a trio that share the same channel. But
we never had Nova Swarm on.
We didn't have them on, but they were on the Guest the VTuber.
Oh, okay. I thought you said that they were on with us, and I was like, I don't remember that.
Eventually, I'm going to see if we can like get them on because they're pretty cool.
That'd be neat. But yeah, so
it's Fua and Moko.
I was wondering why I like didn't. Why I only counted 4 when it's supposed to be a 5-member, but it's because Fua and Moko are 2 different ones. I see now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they're all pretty they're all pretty cool design wise.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Curious as to see who they are personality wise whenever they actually debut tomorrow and Sunday. But yeah, it was exciting to see that HoloLive Gen 3 was being released this soon.
Now, when was Gen 2 released? Is there like a specific time
I
frame in
want to
which
say in 2021, so
2021?
it's been like
2
2 year
years.
gap.
Yeah.
And then Gen 1 was like early 2020 question mark, maybe 2020 through 2019.
Hmm. Okay. Okay, I see. So like they're basically kind of like idol groups that they're released like every X amount of years. You know, just kind of like keep.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got you.
it's
Uh,
hard to think that Gen 1 is like almost 4 years old.
yeah, yeah. Like
They're ancient.
this VTuber thing is still a fairly new phenomenon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're ancient.
And speaking of this phenomenon, every Gargura meme assembled in a music video. She rides a
Okay,
Roomba. She's
did you listen to this fucking song? Because it's great.
yes, I did.
It's like just pure Goomba like energy the whole time, and it's great.
Yeah, I absolutely love the animation because it was like so fun to look at.
Yeah, it was really well animated too,
Yeah,
and uh, I think I don't remember what exactly I sent, but I'm pretty sure it's just like every meme about Gura in one video.
yeah. So like everything. So I wrote down some of the highlights here. So such as she rides a Goomba, she struggles with OBS, which like same.
I wouldn't know who struggles with OBS.
Me. Uh,
Literally the easiest program to deal with.
well, it keeps crashing for me. I don't know why. Shrimp watch her live streams. I don't know. Like she cannot
Yeah,
swim
that's
without her
her
floaties.
fan base, her shrimps. That part fucking killed me. Like she's in like a little baby pool with floaties on, takes them off, and the next scene she's like face down in the pool drowning.
And then like she has a wristwatch drawn on her wrist, which has like different times, one including like Goomba's time. So
She can't tell time because she's smart.
yeah,
She's smart short.
it's fun, man. Like I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. It's a testament to like how much somebody enjoys their community that they're like we're willing to take time to invest in like all of these memes that you make about us, and just like make this project, which is essentially a love letter to your fans.
Yeah, it's acknowledging like all of the things that the fans have like come to love about this person,
Yeah,
and it's fun.
yeah.
It's
It's a
and
lot of fun.
it's not bad either. It doesn't sound
Nah.
bad.
No, it sounds great. I mean, like this is an exciting type of video that I could see myself watching over and over again. So super fun.
I've been playing it on loop for the past 20 minutes.
Yeah, like this would be like the same as if you and I had like a music video where I just keep crashing OBS and I keep forgetting to switch the sound on or to turn the mics on, or like I don't know, Dare says the thing about the rats, like for that one I would just put you in a room full of rats. Like for the and like all of the you and the rats would all like be like doing default dance from Fortnite or something. It's a dang shame that I'm not an animator because I would love to make that a reality.
It would be great to have the ability to animate.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that I could figure it out, but I mean, like that would be time consuming and a half, so I don't know. But so that's VTuber news. Next up, we have a Spy Family board game coming out soon. It's called Mission for Peanuts, which if you're not familiar with Spy Family, peanuts are Anya's favorite snack. This
Yeah,
seems like an interesting type of situation. It's a tabletop game that you play with friends. It comes with like a deck of cards, and the cards are different characters in the Spy Family lore, in the Spy Family mythos. And basically, the way that this functions is you will assume you will select a team of two, I think, and then you will assume different roles with the intention of either deceiving your opponent or outsmarting them. So to me, when it's described, it sounds a little bit like Clue almost weirdly, or like the Code Names game, like stuff like that, where
Pokemon Blark Moo.
Blark, hello. So something like that, So like you assume different roles to attempt to outplay your opponents, and it's up to 5 players. So I mean, kind of like a fun thing for the family. It's weird to see anime get like what do you call it, the tabletop games made out of it, but like it makes a little bit
It's
of
weird
sense.
to see anime get its own tabletop game
Get
made
its
out of
own
it. Like, I
tabletop
mean,
game.
there's a monopoly for everything, right?
True. Saw Animal Crossing Monopoly at a store recently. It was heavily discounted because I already owe money to Tom Nook. I don't know what you want from me. But anyway, but yeah, so it's weird to see this happen. But I feel like out of all the anime that would get its own like tabletop game, Spy Family makes the most sense because it's family, So you just like include your family and friends, and also it's a really wholesome show. So even this would be kind of one of those things where it's like I could watch this with my parents and it would be relatively tame. Like most anime, you're like you can't watch this with people.
Yeah, that's a statement that couldn't be truer.
Yeah, really. Like like watch Food Wars with your mom and dad. See how that goes, and no, don't do it. It's a
Watch
bad.
Monster Musume with your
Watch Monster
your
Musume.
folks.
Hell, like Attack on Titan. Like even that one's doesn't lean into like the lewd category, but it's also one of those anime where it's like I don't know that I would watch this with my dad. you know. He'd be like, "What the hell kind of cartoons are they showing these kids?" I was like, "Well, you don't understand. It's not for kids. It's aimed at adults." And he's like, "But it's a cartoon." And I was like, "Okay, I I take offense to that, Dad, because like I feel like cartoons aren't so much like a medium specifically for kids. I feel like it's a medium to tell stories, and they could be aimed at literally anyone, Like, but anyway, that's trying to explain to my dad, who's like a very huge boomer, like why anime isn't the same thing as like what Saturday morning cartoons are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, even though it's not like it couldn't be. I mean, Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh were Saturday morning cartoons when I was growing up, so I mean, there's that. So,
yeah, but those were different because those were for kids,
right.
censored, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't like actual. It wasn't like Yu-Gi-Oh Season 0 or like
No.
actual anything.
Right. So like, heavily censored by 4 kids, and yeah, here we are. But while we're on the subject of like cartoons that are absolutely 100% not for kids, Invincible season 2 is announced. The release date is announced. It's coming out on November 3rd. There was a special screening at San Diego Comic Con where they also showed like I think it was like a, what do you call it? A little thing about Adam Eve, which is like a spinoff. And additionally, yeah, that's all I had to say about this. I've seen episode 1 of Invincible. It's like watching Justice League. It's like watching Super Friends, but absolutely not for kids. People get their heads punched so hard that they explode. It's a
So
very.
you've seen one episode of it, and
I've
that's
seen
it.
I've seen one episode of it, and that's it. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've not watched any of it, but I'm like aware of what happens because there's like a Bobby Hill meme,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay,
Yeah,
but
it's kind of one of those shows where like I always worry whenever like somebody tries to remake or to reinvent the wheel whenever it comes to superheroes. They're like, oh well, this is more adult oriented, and it's got like mature themes, and it's more violent, and it's almost like you're missing the whole point of superheroes, because like at this point this isn't about a guy with extraordinary powers going out of his way to save people. This is about.
it's just about a guy with like superpowers that has also like a god status to him,
Yeah,
and
or
he realizes, oh, I can just kill people, and it doesn't matter because they can't do anything to me.
exactly, yes. It did this being the show that sparked the look what they need to do to match a fraction of our power, and like like the Omni Man meme where it's like think Mark think blank blank insert meme, like that. like Omni-Man being played by J.K. Simmons, who's just like a fantastic actor. I mean, that man is in everything. But
Hello, Helix.
hello, Helix. But that being said, so I get nervous whenever I see people spin something as like it's a superhero cartoon for adults, because I already know that pretty much what it's going to be is something like it's going to be a story about violence and sex with superheroes in it, or
It's either going to be Deadpool or it's going to be Omni Man.
yeah, or like, so I was worried that Invincible was going to be The Boys but animated, because I did not like The Boys. I don't like shows where like there is no good guy, like where everybody's just different shades of the worst people ever, right? Um, that said, Invincible is a little different. There is the gratuitous violence. There is, kind of like more adult, more mature themes. I feel like Omni Man is kind of like that character, like for example, Homelander in The Boys, or like any other like evil Superman clone that people have been like crazy over for the past couple of years. It's like, how do we make Superman interesting? We make him evil. Haha, yeah, you're original. But like the difference here is that the show isn't about Omni Man; it's about his son. And so Omni Man is very much the evil Superman, but his son Mark, Invincible, is very much like he's got the Superman spirit, where
He's also a bitch, though.
yeah, he's a little bit of a bitch early on. Yeah, like I don't know, like
Yeah.
I haven't seen all of it, but like in the first episode, he was kind of whiny about a lot of stuff. But so like his whole thing is, like we're gonna keep getting back up, and we're gonna keep standing in between these terrible, terrible threats in mankind, and we're gonna try to do the best that we can to save them. So like I like his spirit. I like the gumption that he's got. Maybe I'll watch the rest of it and kind of decide whether or not this is a quote unquote mature superhero story that I can get into. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so like I put it on here because like it's not, because it is categorically different from The Boys. Because like I could go on and on about why The Boys is just like not my idea of like this is a superhero show. I feel like I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't with that. But you know what?
Kama says, "Did you know that he felt the need to work out since he got the role as Omni Man?"
J.K. Simmons? That's funny. I did not know that. Here's a fun fact. My father-in-law looks a lot like Omni-Man. It was funny whenever I first saw an Invincible comic, and I opened it up, and it looked a lot like my father-in-law, and I showed my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I showed her, and I was like, "Hey, look, it's your dad." So she went to, because her dad's into comic books, so like we were all at this comic shop together, and she goes running to her dad, and she shows us like, "Look, it's you," and he's all like, "Yep, that's me." So
And then he proceeded to punch your face in.
yeah, and then he proceeded to punch my face, and it was a long road to recovery, but we're there. We're feeling good now. It's fine. And then let's see. This next one is kind of a weird one, and Dare, I know you'll be half interested in this one because it has half of a thing that you would enjoy. And then the other thing is just so weird that I'm just like, I had to put this on here because this feels like a weird like acid trip that we're on right now. So a crossover between Konosuba and the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya?
I don't know what the second thing is.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I'm half interested.
All right. So, yeah. So, Konosuba, as we know, is the isekai that can do no wrong. It's funny, it subverts the tropes, and it's really tongue in cheek. It has a great sense of humor. It's a subversion of expectations done in all the right ways. Uh, I would argue that the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is the same thing, but like from 2004. It's an anime where a guy, it's set up like your typical slice of life rom com, where a guy who is entering high school, he's very serious, he's very straight laced, is seated next to a girl who when she opens her mouth sounds like she's absolutely insane. She's quirky, she's eccentric. She's not interested in being friends with anyone unless this person is extraordinary, right? And the joke here is whenever they introduce themselves, you know how in anime, like, hey, we're starting a new semester. Everybody go around the room and tell us about yourself, right? And she stands up and she immediately says, I'm not interested with being friends with anyone unless they're extraordinary. So unless you're an alien, a time traveler, or psychic, don't talk to me. However, if you happen to be an alien, a time traveler, or psychic, feel free to come talk to me. I would love to know more about you. So she sounds insane. And the plot twist here is that this isn't your average slice of life rom com. The guy Kyon and this crazy girl Haruhi start a club called the SOS Brigade at their school, where they make it a point of theirs to go out searching for aliens, time travelers, or psychics. And the fun thing is, they keep showing up, but they never show themselves to her. They always show themselves to him. So he always keeps coming into these situations where he's like, oh my gosh, a time traveler. Oh my gosh, a psychic. Oh my gosh, like an alien. But they'll never show themselves to her because all of them, the aliens, the time travelers, the psychics, have one thing in common. They're like, we don't know why we're here, but we know that the moment she became interested in us, we noticed. Like, everyone collectively, like the aliens were like, there was like an explosion of data, and we were like, oh wow, this is coming from Earth, and it's coming specifically from this girl. The psychics are like, we don't know why, but we suddenly developed our powers, and we knew it was because of her. And there are people in the psychic community that maybe think that she's like a deity stuck in human form, and the time travelers are like, hey, you know what, we used to be able to see far back in time using our technology, but at one point there was like a time dilation, a weirdness, and suddenly we can't see back further than when she was born. Like, whenever she came into the world, suddenly we can't travel back further from that point. This is as far back as we can go. So it's kind of like a really weird thing. So she's constantly being like, oh man, the world is boring. There's no such thing as exciting things. Whereas he's like, all of these things exist, and I can't tell you about them because they suspect that you're God. And if you become aware that you are, the world as we know it could cease to exist. So it's basically, both of them are subversions of like their genres, of their tropes. One being a subversion of the isekai genre, the other one being like a subversion of your slice of life rom-com genre. And they're both having apparently a crossover. A tweet featuring Haruhi Suzumiya implied that there be some kind of presence from the SOS Brigade in the Konosuba Fantastic Days video game. So that's...
Gamma wants to know if this is the one where the guy's missing his balls.
That would be Dandadan, not Haruhi.
I know this. He also posted that's not this manga, LOL. But I still wanted to ask just so you could be like, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know what he's talking about. He's talking about Dandadan. It's a great manga. I own it. But yeah, so like this is fun. Like it's kind of an interesting thing. Like Konosuba being hilarious. Its third season might be airing here soon. I forget if they put out a release date or not. And Haruhi Suzumiya had a fantastic first season, and then the second season made the show implode on itself. So, but it's my understanding that it's remained relevant in Japan. I don't know. The manga was popular, so maybe. There's a joke among what's it called, anime watchers, and even among some anime tubers, like for example Mother's Basement makes this joke all the time, where since Haruhi is kind of like speculated to be a god, or the god, just like in human form, right? A lot of the times anime watchers will be like, oh, thank Haruhi, and I was like, oh, Haruhi bless you, and things like that. So just kind of a dumb thing, but like, yeah, so this is a crossover that I never thought I'd see, because Konosuba is very modern and Haruhi Suzumiya is like at this point like a classic anime, so it's weird that they would like come out of like hibernation to just be in something, you know?
Yeah,
I don't even know if like the studios are somehow related. They might be. I
it's all Studio Ghibli.
Haruhi, I think I want to say was by Kadokawa. Konosuba, I'm not sure. So it's something to look into. But you know, here we are. Anyway, last thing that I have on our list is Fry, Leela, and Bender in Fortnite.
Yeah, this was something that one of the guys from another server I'm in, like he's a Fortnite nut, and he posted this, and it's just like, uh huh, that's interesting. Apparently, it has something to do with the new season that they're getting on Netflix, which I'm really excited for the new Futurama season
Same.
because Futurama is fucking amazing.
It
But the
is.
fact that it's already being put into Fortnite, where you can get skins as Fry, Leela, and Bender, and then they've added like a bunch of different items and guns
Yeah.
as like things you can use in the game. I think there's like a mammoth pistol, Bender's shiny metal laser.
Yeah. You got a couple of things that a couple of accessories that you can put on there too, like such as what was it like the robot devil's golden fiddle and
Yeah.
and other nibbler and stuff like that. So
The biggest like missed opportunity though is not having the battle bus that drops you into the map, not having that be like
the
reskinned
Planet
as
Express
the
ship,
Planet Express ship.
I know, right?
Apparently, you can find the Planet Express ship, like it'll crash in the game somewhere.
Hmm.
But it was just like, why would you not have the battle bus be the Planet Express ship? That
Yeah,
just seems like a
seriously.
no-brainer.
Yeah, seriously. This is fun. You know, like I love seeing it when things like this happen. And Futurama, weirdly, like you know, as far as I can remember, at least, never had a video game.
They had a PlayStation 2 game, I think.
Hmm.
The fact that you don't know about it kind of speaks to how well it did.
Yeah, I imagine.
But yeah, I I don't know. Fortnite's one of those things that like when it first came out, it was like, oh, only 12-year-olds play this, and it's terrible. And as time went on, like the amount of like collaborations they've done with other video game franchises and stuff, it's kind of admirable to an extent.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they got like Goku, and I think they have Goku and Vegeta in there.
You see
They've
screenshots
got
of like you know people in Fortnite, you know, and you got like what is it like Ariana Grande, Goku, Rick from Rick and Morty, Naruto, and you know like they're all on the
Kratos from
same.
God of War, the
Yeah,
Doom guy.
yeah, and so you see like all of this stuff, and you're like, if you had shown me a screenshot of this like 15 years ago, I would have said that you're making it up. There's no way, you know. So like it's funny like you know every time a new skin gets dropped onto Fortnite because we talk about like what's it called shoot what's the word we talk about crossovers that are ambitious and Fortnite's just doing it so casually, you know, just like whenever they get a chance, like, hey, let's add some new skins to Fortnite from a property that doesn't have one yet.
Well, they don't have like it's not subtle. Is the thing. It's
Yeah,
everything is just kind of like shoehorned together,
yeah,
and they're like, yeah, it's good enough.
yeah.
And you're just sitting there like, is it good enough though? Come on, Fortnite.
Wow, Fortnite, wow. But you gotta respect it for that, you know, like because it's one of those games that it's like
Yeah,
you can remember a time before Fortnite. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Gamma actually brought up something that it's not Fortnite, but it's damn near close to Fortnite. Apparently, in Dead by Daylight, Nicolas Cage was put in Dead by Daylight.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a play. You can play as Nicolas Cage in Dead by
Just like
Daylight.
not as a character, it's just Nicolas Cage.
It is just dead ass Nicolas
Oh
Cage
god damn it,
as a
that's funny.
character.
That's funny as hell. I love that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so like that's basically all we have today. So guys, thank you for watching. Tune in this Sunday for our Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel tournament. We're gonna be actually it's gonna be starting a little later than usual. We're gonna have to do this as one of those that starts in the afternoon because work, the day job calls. So unfortunately, I gotta do that. But other than that, like yeah, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. Like help us get to 100,000 subs so that King Kong can come in here and be our guest for a podcast.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those words that he said about things.
these words that I said about things. Yeah, and so you got anything else for us there?
Uh, don't forget to tip your waiters, and I'm gonna go take a nap, and hopefully I'll be able to wake up later.
Ooh, food sounds really good. I should go do that.
Maybe hopefully I won't forget how to wake up.
Yeah, but thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Adios.
Bye.